Good morning. I'm watching my, as we say in Irish. I'm Paddy Finn. I'm out here in the woodshed, or the gazebo, with my coffee this morning. You'll have to forgive the sun in my eyes. I did set the camera up over there, to let you guys see some of the garden, even though the flowers aren't quite up yet. But the weather had other ideas. The clouds came over and they started raining. So I came back over here, and then of course, Murphy's Law, the clouds go away and the sun comes out again, and now I'm squinting. We'll figure it out. I also hope the sound is okay. When editing the last video, I realized the birds, there are a lot of birds around here because of the wooded areas. They were very noisy. There was a lot of bird noise. It's beautiful, it's peaceful, but it's also very loud. So I hope the audio was okay in the last video. I hope it's okay in this video. I do have a camera doohickey, microphone doohickey, but I need to figure out how to work it. So bear with me. And it's very cold today as well, so I'm wrapped up. Although it's not as cold as some places in the United States. My friend Kevin J. Anderson, the science fiction author, he posted something recently where, you know, they've had so many feet of snow, and he was supposed to go to an event and he couldn't even attend the event because I think even his neighbor, who has a big plow machine, couldn't get down the road. So I'm grateful that we don't have that kind of cold weather right now. Gotta count your blessings, as they say. So with the sun coming up, you might hear Charlie the rooster next door making some noise. We're also not far from train tracks. The train goes by from time to time. So yeah, this is where we're at. And speaking of counting blessings, I've been out here for over an hour now, thinking. Because lately I've been working on slowing down and thinking. Slowing down in general, but slowing down with regards to thinking. Gotta drink my coffee before it goes cold. And what I mean by slowing down to think, this is something that I have not been very good at. I don't know about you, but I'm not very good at slowing down. I'm not. I tend to feel better, and I feel like I work better when I'm going at 100 miles per hour. But the problem with going at 100 miles per hour all the time, day in, day out, every year, always on, always pedal to the metal, is that you might make progress faster. However, it's very difficult to make decisions when you're going at 100 miles per hour. Imagine going that fast on the road. Everything moves quickly around you. You're moving quickly. You have very little time to react, let alone think or make decisions. And, you know, we can get by for the most part. We can make most decisions okay on the fly. It gets us by. But a time comes when, because you didn't slow down enough and think and consider where you were at in relation to where you were going, and you didn't consider the obstacles around you and the environment, because you're going too fast to think of all these things as much as they needed to be thought about, well, you made the wrong decision and it got really messy. And then you cause a big pile up. You know, you may hurt yourself, you may hurt your family, you may hurt a lot of other people. So recently I've been giving a lot of thought to slowing down. And I guess in your younger years, you younger guys out there, you younger guys and gals, I use guys to cover everybody, by the way. I had a recent interaction with someone and I said something about guys, and someone came on, keyboard warrior. What about women? Like, guys to me is a cover all. It's not gender specific. Anyway, with that tangent out of the way, how about you? Do you slow down? Do you think? Do you give your time? Do you give yourself time to think? It's very difficult in this world, especially because it's just constantly accelerating and getting faster, more demanding. It wants more sacrifices. It wants more of you. It's getting more difficult in terms of your time, your work, your finances. Things aren't getting easier. In some ways they're getting better, and they are getting easier, but in other ways they aren't. And that can make it more and more difficult to slow down. So, when was the last time you took out time for yourself to think? I don't mean time to watch television. I don't mean time to go out and party with your friends. I don't mean time to sit down and play the PlayStation. And I don't mean time to sit on your phone and doom scroll on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever your poison of choice is. I mean, sit down with just you, yourself, and some silence, so you can process some of the stuff going on in your head. Now, I'm not trying to pretend that I'm some sort of font of wisdom or knowledge. Far from it. This is something I've only started doing recently. But even though I've only been doing it for a short while, I've noticed huge benefits already. There's a lot to be said for slowing down and thinking, reflecting, introspecting. Give you time to figure problems out. And when you allow yourself time to do that, it also helps you make better decisions. Or at least gives you more time to think about those decisions before you make them. And hopefully you make better ones as a result. The sun's poking through the trees again. Can't win. But when was the last time you had not even a day to yourself, just a morning? This is why I get up early in the mornings. This is why I get up at 4 or 5 a.m. And it used to be that I would wake up at 4 or 5 a.m., roll out of bed, and roll straight into my office and onto my laptop and get working. And I did that for years. Done that for about 9 years, actually. And in the early days, I remember before I went full-time as an indie author, writing science fiction and fantasy, that, we had a discussion, my wife and I, because you don't make those big decisions on your own, you make them as a couple. And my wife and I sat down and we discussed a few things, and we're like, well, are we going to do this thing? It's a huge change, it's a huge risk. There are going to be sacrifices. And one of those sacrifices was we had 2 very young children at the time. They were still a toddler and a baby. And we have 3 now, but back then we only had 2 girls. And one of the sacrifices was going to be, I'm probably not going to spend as much time as I would like to with my kids for the next 5 years. And we discussed it, and we were willing to make that sacrifice because of what would come after, which is, should the stars align, I can spend more time with my kids when they're a bit older and they will actually remember it. Well, that's not how it panned out. I mean, I do get to spend more time with my kids these days. That is true. But nowhere near as much as I would like to, or as I thought I would be able to. And rather than slow down and have more time for things like that, life just kept getting busier and busier and accelerating and accelerating. And the more I worked for myself, the more work there came, and it got crazy. But recently I've decided I need to slow down, because my kids are growing up. They're growing up. And if I keep going the way I'm going, I'm going to miss out on that. And I don't want to miss my kids growing up. It's scary. It's like how quickly they've already grown. My eldest is 9. She turns 10 this year. So they all turn 10, 8, and 3. And they're going into they're already in those formative years. And how are my daughters going to know what to look out for in a man if I don't show them what a man is supposed to be? If I disappoint my daughters by not being there as much as they want me to be, if I don't follow through on my promises, if I disappoint them because I don't have as much time as I would like to give them, then they're going to think that that's acceptable when it comes to men. That'll impact, that could impact their self-worth and self-respect. I don't want to do that. So I've decided that I want to slow down and be there for my family. You see, the problem is I view things as building a family, building an empire. And recently, because of slowing down and thinking, I've realized that building my family is building my empire. So I'm not looking outside anymore for, well, how do I build this business? How do I build this relationship? How do I capitalize on this opportunity? I'm now looking into my family and going, well, that's my empire. That's the thing I want to build and give attention to. And that means all the other stuff outside, it's going to have to wait. Or maybe it just won't happen. Or I'll keep building, but it won't be as big as I thought it would be. And that's okay. Because what's more important to me? My wife and kids. Just illustrating that because of stopping and slowing down and getting into this habit of thinking, getting up early in the mornings before everyone else gets up so there are no distractions or no demands of my time, and allowing myself just an hour, maybe 2 hours sometimes, to think about things before getting stuck into work and life. That I've been able to have these realizations and come to these conclusions and hopefully make better decisions. Something to think about this fine Monday morning with the sun stabbing me in the eyes. I was going to say there is the train, but the farmers are in the fields behind spraying. It's that time of year. Oh, and now they're reversing. I think that's the sign for us to go. Wishing you a great week, great coffee, and I'll speak to you next time. Al Moore.